Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm here with Benjamin Kepner of Global Social Media Marketing. He is a premier YouTube ads expert and just an array of almost any Google certification you could even think of, along with being a Google certified trainer as well. So, welcome, Ben. Super excited to have you. Just kind of a little intro, kind of how you fell into this world, and just tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Caleb. I'm excited to get to speak. And a little bit about me. I've been working in the marketing profession since 2011. Really kind of started in social media when that became a job, if you can believe that social media wasn't even a gig less than a decade ago, or about a decade ago now. And have gone through a number of different industries and done different things. I've also lived internationally. I lived in Spain for a while. Now I live presently in Denver, Colorado. And that's where I started my company, Global Social Media Marketing. We are a marketing and education technology training company that offers a wide variety of Google Ads, YouTube ad services, as well as building sales funnels for businesses to help them generate sales and leads.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're definitely kind of in the more outbound space, but I really wanted to bring you on, just kind of have the opportunity to kind of full circle and a little bit of how kind of that relationship of maybe doing outbound and kind of merging it with cold outreach. So I guess give us a little idea on some of the structure of high level funnels that you guys use and kind of working within like the B2B industry.
Yeah, so I think one of the big trends that we are seeing a lot with our clients now are webinar sales funnels. So you could use that as an outbound strategy, right? Sending email campaigns or LinkedIn messages. They even have LinkedIn events now. That was a new feature that was developed by LinkedIn last year, where you can promote your webinars. They made it really easy to do that now. And so we run a lot of webinar sales funnels for our clients where they're getting people to consume their content. If it's a B2B organization, right? Maybe they can educate them on a high level coaching, framework, technology, whatever that is. And then by the end of that webinar, the person is coming and leaving very well educated and interested. And then that business is offering something, normally in the form of either a consultation or to buy a product after that. So that's one trend that we've seen a lot in the B2B space right now is webinars.
Yeah. And that's definitely been the trend of kind of everybody. Even though I think outbound, especially cold email, LinkedIn, sometimes it has a reputation of kind of people write it off as maybe being spammy, especially if it's done incorrectly. But chatting with everybody and having the opportunity to kind of look through overall strategy is really kind of merging that the content along with an outreach strategy, kind of building that kind of know, like, and trust, and kind of nurturing and kind of getting on somebody's radar with cold outreach, and then using a lot of these other to kind of nurture the relationship, and then kind of keep pushing people through that funnel. So when you guys are kind of going through as far as targeting, what are some kind of approaches that you guys take, especially on the YouTube side?
Yeah, so for targeting, there's a lot of different targeting options on YouTube. So I won't list them all. I'll talk about maybe the ones that we are finding really good success with. I'm a really big proponent of keyword research, right? Like people buy products and services by searching on Google and YouTube, which are the two largest search engines in the world. And they're ultimately going to these places to solve their problems or, you know, look to find further information about pricing, features, those types of things. YouTube is unique in the fact that a lot of people that go there also search on a how-to basis, right? So who hasn't tried to how to fix whatever in my house, how to fix my car, how to use this new technology I know nothing about, right? So using YouTube, what I like to do is I like to start with keyword targeting first because it's very search intent based. And if I have a really good value offer as a business or an ad that speaks to those pain points, the conversion rate, the quality of the leads that I'm generating are generally going to be much better than other platforms that I've been on, such as Facebook. And then from keywords, once you do that, you start collecting data. The interesting thing about YouTube, I like to make the analogy, is it's really just becoming the future of television. It's like the modern day television now. So there are all of these channels. There are millions
Yeah.
of channels. Like I'm talking, there's probably billions at this stage. So don't quote me on the exact number, but there are millions of channels. And you think of these as just like TV channels, right? Like you used to go to back in the day, whatever your local news channel was in your given state, you would watch the news. Mom and dad get off of work at 7, they're watching the news. And all of the big spenders in that market might, put their business or their brand during that primetime television. Well, same thing you can do on YouTube. And what that strategy is called for targeting is called placement channel targeting, meaning that you're going to specific YouTube channels where you feel that those are relevant audiences to put your ads in. So the strategy is actually starting with keywords. And then as you collect data from the conversions that happen from those keywords, your ads are actually converting on specific YouTube channels on top of that. So now you take that data and you combine the keywords plus the channels, and now you have a very targeted, relevant audience that is appealing to search intent, but also audience. And those two combinations recently for us in the last couple of months are doing very well for our clients.
Yeah, and I think you made a really good point about as far as how things are worded in the phrasing. Because you consider as far as buyer awareness and where they are in that stage of figuring out, maybe they don't even realize they have a problem. Now they realize that they have a problem. They're looking for a solution. They realize the type of solution and they're looking for services or things that kind of fill that solution. What are some specific kind of phrasing that you did mention as far as how to XYZ? Are there some other ones that you kind of seen that a little more higher awareness throughout the buyer cycle?
Yeah, for sure. There's some kind of, I guess, insider tricks and tips I can give the audience. So how to is great. Also near me. Funny enough, people forget about convenience factor, right? I don't want a business that's maybe in another state or country. I want somebody that's near me. I can potentially meet them in person, even though we're doing a lot of virtual. Also pricing, right? Anything that says affordable, cheap, free. These are all people that are searching based on price. They don't really care about what the solution is. They just want to have the best pricing option. So those are variations that you can use for price. And then funny enough, on YouTube, there are millions of reviews. So no different than like a customer review that you would find on Yelp or in Google reviews. Literally, people are going to YouTube to type in the product name and saying product XYZ review, right? One last kind of, I guess, insider secret tip would be doing a versus strategy. So for example, Google Sheets versus Microsoft Excel. You're comparing two products, and a video on YouTube that shows the differences between those two products is now educating the person on making an informed decision on one product versus another.
Yeah, which is a great point whenever you think somebody comes on your radar via some email or LinkedIn outreach. The natural progression is, who is this random person reaching out to me? And I think having the kind of the relationship, whether it be maybe specific content that you are using in LinkedIn as a ways of social, but also people, like you mentioned, they're going to Google your website. They're going to see. So I think, like you mentioned, having that kind of versus in the way of kind of approaching. I do have a question though. You mentioned as far as pricing, is that a way to also kind of um, filter out specific people? Like you don't want to have, especially if you have a higher end B2B service,
right?
You don't want people that are tire kickers and stuff like that. Is that kind of a approach you do with kind of the buy intent?
That's definitely, your nail on the spot there is pretty much like, let's say I have a premium luxurious fashion style brand and I sell like, a watch or a dress that's thousands of dollars, right? I'm not looking for somebody that shops at Walmart or Target maybe. So I could exclude people that are searching for cheap, people that are searching for free, people that are searching for affordable. Maybe my targeting is premium, luxury, high end, right? That way I'm, to your point, filtering out the people that I don't really want to show my message to.
Right, which I think is a big thing, especially with a lot of higher end B2B. You only want to be hopping on the phone with people that are really qualified. You don't want to be hopping on the phone with people that are, as soon as they hop on with you, you spend 20 minutes doing a discovery call with somebody and realize that this person can't even afford what I'm looking for. So it's definitely an interesting approach to that.
Yeah, so I think targeting is, to just close on that idea, is like the first step, but really the second step is the qualifying process after they see the ad and click through the ad, right? So meaning having a form that asks them what their budget is or if they have experience in using your product or service. Those are really good ways to disqualify people.
Right. So as far as, I mean, I think a lot of the targeting so far we've kind of chatted about has been really kind of cold approach based on user intent and stuff like that. So what about more of a retargeting kind of strategy? What are some different ways and approaches you guys take, especially if somebody goes through, they have some cold outreach, they glance at a specific landing page that you might want to send them to, and then retargeting based on that intent. You know, behavior wise, this person has gotten a cold outreach, they've landed on this page, and then just following them around, maybe Google or YouTube. What are some kind of retargeting methods you guys kind of look at?
Yeah, so for retargeting, we usually would do like a basic retargeting campaign that everyone's familiar with. Hopefully, somebody's been to a landing page, they didn't convert the first time. We would retarget those people. It's generally going to drive down the cost per view. They're going to keep seeing us. If you ever had any experience in television advertising, I think they used to say back in the 90s, you had to watch a TV commercial 8 times before you would buy the product. So we like to show the same video ad, 3 to 5 times in a month. And then, outside of just retargeting a specific landing page where you're sending people, you can also retarget people that have actually viewed the video. Now, the different thing with YouTube is that a view is considered once you've watched 30 seconds of the video. So from that perspective, if you think about us in this world of snackable, attention span deficit, 5 seconds, to have somebody in 2021 watching one of your videos for 30 seconds is actually a pretty good amount of time. And I can retarget those people with another video idea, maybe not the same messaging, something different, maybe a shorter version. Third kind of option that we do is there's a feature on YouTube ads that you can do similar audiences, and same with Google ads, meaning very similar. If there's any Facebook marketers listening to this, if you're familiar with lookalike audiences, very similar to that approach where you're just saying, hey, Google, the data that I've been collecting in my account, I'd like to take the conversions and make a similar to conversions, or I'd like to make a similar to website visitors, or I'd like to make a similar to all YouTube viewers, right? So we're generally doing retargeting around website visitors, viewers, and conversions, and then layering on similar audiences to all of those. And then the last retargeting thing I would say would be actually excluding people in your retargeting, right? So if somebody has been to the landing page multiple times and for whatever reason not converted, maybe you're excluding those people, and maybe you're coming in with like a completely different, landing page or value offer or something like that. Last thing I would say for retargeting that we do is just display ads. We do display ads for most of our clients. So it's things that you see on the website. If you've ever been searching for something and then you go somewhere else and you're like, whoa, I was just looking that up. How did that ad get on my website that I'm looking at now? That's display retargeting. But we find generally with that, it's kind of spammy. It's not as quality because it's more of an interrupter. It's like you're searching for something and you're on another platform and you're seeing that, and it's like brand awareness as a play. But our best retargeting has been through retargeting people that get to a specific landing page or creating those similar audiences.
So how are those conversions done? Is that based on impressions or people that actually click that display ad?
Yeah, so the conversions depends on what your marketing goal is. I mean, most of the clients we're working with, they want leads or sales. So in our case, it would be what happens after they complete that landing page. Generally, we're doing either a form on the landing page or we're doing a big shiny button because people psychologically like to click big buttons for whatever reason. So they click the button, they go to a form, they fill out the form. That's a conversion. So we're normally doing like leads where, I guess the best way to answer that question is we have received some type of contact information or opt-in from the person and considering that a conversion.
Okay, yeah. So YouTube, what's the average length of a video that you guys kind of go for? Because you mentioned as far as on the actual YouTube displaying on there, you get charged per view based on X amount of time.
Right.
How long are you guys kind of putting these videos on there? Or
Yeah, so I mean, we've tested it. It's funny, like we've had videos convert very well that are 3 to 4 minutes, but there was a stat that was released this year that says that the average person on YouTube, about 72% of all YouTube viewers want to watch a video that's under 2 minutes. So I would recommend anybody that's doing YouTube ads to try to strive for under 2 minutes. We've also seen really good results this year with 30-second to 1 minute videos. And I think that just plays into consumer buyer behavior right now with all the craziness of Instagram Reels, and now we're doing YouTube Shorts, and it's like TikTok videos. It's like if you look at last year, there was a huge innovation in short form video content, and people are doing a lot of that now.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you kind of look into the B2B market, the buying cycle is a lot longer. So from that perspective, what are some progressions on kind of first touch points of kind of getting somebody cold that you've seen versus the final conversion? Do you guys kind of have analytics where you get track a lot of that?
Yeah, we do. So like when we do like cold email reach outs, right? It's generally like multiple email campaigns. We're not like just a one-off. So like if somebody came in through an inbound funnel, like that's great that they're in our funnel at that stage, but then there's a nurturing and follow-up point to what you mentioned at the beginning of when we were first chatting. So generally it's like for me, if somebody comes in through a funnel and they don't reply or say they're not interested after 3 or 4 emails, I kind of then bucket them into a non-conversion, non-qualified bucket. Some people go much longer, right? I've heard people in sales say they'll send 7 or 8 emails. For me, it's just I guess, use of my time, right? Like if I really have something that can help someone in that moment, they're going to usually, even in the B2B space, be able to make that decision within a month or two. Especially if I send them a rate or a pricing quote is another thing, like an estimate. Like if somebody asks me for an estimate, if they don't convert into a customer for a given business that we're working with after a month, then generally that's going to be they're not interested. It's not good timing. It's not to say you can't follow up with those people later. Really good ways to go about that is like, let's say you have somebody that converts through, you got their contact, they were interested, but then you followed up 3 or 4 times and never bought. A really good approach that we've been seeing with other customers is doing like a quarterly value drop. Like, hey, this quarter is our top 5 case studies on how we scaled 5 businesses to $1 million with YouTube ads. Or next quarter is like, hey, these are the top 3 speaking engagements that Benjamin had for our company. You should check out these presentations that can help you grow your business. Q3, hey, we're releasing a free ebook. It doesn't cost you any money. It might help you. You couldn't afford our services. We know we chatted. We wanted to provide value and give you a free offer that educates you on how to take baby steps to do what we do. And then maybe a 4th one is, hey, it's Christmas. Our prices are slashed 20% off to get the new year started right? So when you do that approach, right, you're not coming in with this hard, hey, why didn't you buy? Like we talked, I know you were interested. It's more of, that's fine. Here's value. And then the more that stacks up, it's more of like that person is just saying in the back of their head, like, wow, Benjamin is reaching out to me every couple of months, even though I'm not interested, but he's providing value. He's actually helping me. That's awesome. Maybe I should consider working with him.
Yeah, and I think you kind of mentioned a lot of really good points. And it's kind of the progression, like you mentioned, as far as TV shows. YouTube is kind of taking that role. And it's interesting how a lot of times things kind of come back full loop. Direct mail used to be a very big, I mean, people still do it, but sending that, your mailbox be flooded.
Right.
Email comes along, that kind of shifts, and people start using it. Email. It's a little more cost effective. Now you'll have people that do cold outreach via sending handwritten letters and stuff like that. And because of the appeal, the attention span, it's kind of shifted and changed. So I think that's kind of a similar approach kind of going on there. You're making touch points. Even if somebody goes through and they don't respond, you send them a letter in the mail and sitting there touching base like, hey, Merry Christmas.
Right.
I mean, now it's a little more digital. I'm kind of going through and looking to build relationships first and kind of going through and kind of nurturing. Everybody I've chatted with throughout the time on here is being P2P, like person to person,
right,
versus B2B. So as far as structuring a lot of these videos, when you guys are kind of going, we kind of chat a little bit on like length of the video, but do you guys kind of have a structure or something you kind of just never ending kind of go to? This is the breadwinner.
Yeah, so I actually have an image that I'd be happy to share with the audience that's watching. And just let me know that you can see my screen.
Yep, I can see it.
So I've got this image right here, if you can see it. It's kind of our perfect YouTube ad structure, right? So we normally are starting a YouTube ad video with a big problem / hook, right? That's going back to what I was talking about at the beginning of that keyword search intent, right? How much does this cost? Reviews versus free, cheap, affordable, near me, whatever that problem is, and hooking them in the first 5 seconds, because most people are not going to watch past 5 seconds. Then it's going into the promise or the explanation. How does your business solve that problem? What is unique about it? Then it's call to action. Actually, sometimes I'll even put the call to action before the 30-second mark for the exact reason that I mentioned at the beginning of this chat, that you only pay for a view when they watch 30 seconds. So if you can actually get somebody to convert in your YouTube ad video in the first 30 seconds, essentially you are not paying for that view, right? Which is super powerful. Or if somebody on the flip side doesn't convert and they leave the video after the first 30 seconds, then you just got free advertising, which where do you get that in 2021? Pretty much nowhere. So that's super powerful to take that first 30 to 35 seconds to either convert them or disqualify them. A little quick trip that you might see in some of our videos on our channel. I ran a solar video where I literally say in the video in the first 15 seconds, hey, if you're not a solar company owner, skip this video. Like I literally tell people that in the beginning of the video so that I can unqualify all those people that aren't really going to ever convert. From there, it's a CTA of book a call, sign up, register for a free webinar, take our free quiz, apply now, get a quote, whatever that looks like, whatever you are at offering of value is what you want to put in that CTA. Like if you just go hard in with a sale, again, you're going back to like what I just said about value. Like you're not stacking any value by somebody just watching an ad and saying, buy my product. Give them something free. Give them your time. Give them something so that they feel the need to actually give you their contact information. Then from there, if they haven't converted, you're going more in depth in this 60-second where it's benefits and results. Right? Are you accredited business? Have you won awards? What's your team look like? Do you have multiple languages? Are there something different about your product that nobody else offers? Is the price really good? Right? So all of the benefits and then results, like showing like, hey, this will improve your life. This will increase your financial gain. This will improve the return on investment. Like a lot of people obviously want monetary gains, but some people want time and function gains. And then the last thing is actually trying to repeat that CTA again at the last 90-second mark in a different way, maybe different kind of imagery, showing different things. So this is kind of a template of a perfect ad structure. I've seen some other YouTubers use it, and we've adjusted it. That's not the only way that we write ads, but it's a good, I think, framework for a beginner YouTube advertiser to say, hey, this is a framework that works. And it makes sense.
That's a very good point. And so as far as you mentioned the 30-second mark, so even with like retargeting, is that a way to kind of go through and get some very cheap retargeting, kind of having some way of kind of going through before that 30-second mark and just hey, we noticed that blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
especially if they've seen your face maybe on LinkedIn or a cold email, then they see your face pop up on there. For some people, that might be a good reminder or something like that. Is that kind of a way to kind of look at conversions as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of videos out there that do that. I've even done in some of our videos where I do this kind of like pointing thing in the video where I'm like, hey, I
Yeah.
know that you went to this video or you went to this landing page. And they're like, wow, that guy, he's smart. Like he's showing exactly where I was in that new video and starting the video that way. Like, I realized that you watched this video and for whatever reason, you didn't convert. So let me explain maybe some of the objections you might be having or some of the concerns. So you go even further into that. And,
Right.
that's like you knowing your audience and their pain points, right? Like maybe you hook them in with pain point number one, but maybe they have 8 pain points and you can't cover all 8 pain points in one hook, right?
No, that's definitely a great point. Um, so do you have any kind of high level approach or like big level funnel you kind of want to share, just some other tidbits of information you think might be kind of important, especially from a B2B approach with
Yeah.
YouTube? I know a lot of people look at YouTube more on like uh, maybe cheaper services, different stuff like that, opposed to agency enterprise stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, second point I would make outside of webinar sales funnels, like webinars are really good for B2B. So I would recommend that. Number two is quiz funnels. I don't know how many people are running that listening to this, but we have gotten really good results. There's a guy named by Ryan Levesque. I attended his Ask Live conference in Texas. It's like
The
one of
Ask
the
method.
top,
Yeah.
man, that guy, I didn't realize then when I went there how important quizzes were, but I do now. And it's just the way to think about it, it's almost gamifying your qualification process. It's making that not a boring form anymore of, hey, here's the form, fill it out. It's hey, at the end of this quiz, you're going to get some type of cool result or surprise at the end of it that you didn't really expect. And it's trying to be more like BuzzFeed like, where it's like, hey, you want to share the results of your quiz with your friends because it was fun, you learned something, you're engaged, and you're like, that was pretty cool. Like, you're almost delighting the person for filling out information to qualify themselves, right? So quizzes, I think, work really well. And for B2B, what I would say is we're even running funnels for our company now. So again, we've mentioned solar. If you go to our YouTube channel, you definitely can tell we're in the solar space. And what's worked really well for us this year is I made a how-to video. So going back to that, hey, how do we solve people's problems? If you can make an instructional how-to video that shows a process or a system or how to improve a process or like process in their business in general, and you can come from a place of not buy my services, buy my services, buy my product, but from more of a here's a problem that I am helping the entire industry solve. It actually comes across as a much better approach where they watch that how-to video and now they're like, wow, he provided so much help and help me solve this problem. I need to talk to Benjamin now. So that's worked really cool for us, is doing like a how-to, like just value-based video that's not selling. And then what we do is we take that how-to video and we turn it into an ad, but then we retarget from there. So now I'm saying, hey, I know you watched our how-to video. You have this problem. You've watched this video. Now have you considered us as a service provider solution?
No, I think that's a really great point, especially a lot of different approaches of, and I think a lot of it really ties into understanding consumer behavior and intent and things like you mentioned. Things have kind of shifted over the years as far as turning into TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram and a lot of very short form. I think kind of like you mentioned, just kind of staying with consumer behavior and how people actually engage with different platforms and stuff like that. I think is definitely a great point. So do you have any last inputs or anything you want to share?
Yeah, so I would say like last tips for me would be, you can do outbound on YouTube too. It doesn't have to be inbound. So some just quick tips on that. There is a section on every YouTube channel called the About section. That About section on most channels should have an email. It should maybe have a website, or it should have some way to contact whoever the owner of that channel is. So if you're a B2B organization and you're trying to get in front of a relevant audience, let's use solar again because we've talked about solar. So in solar, there is, for example, Solar Power, which is like a magazine for solar sales professionals. If I'm a smart YouTuber, maybe I go to the YouTube channel of Solar Power, go to the contact information, reach out to that person, say, hey, I love your content. Here is my audience. It's relevant to the solar industry. Would you be open to a brand deal or a collaboration opportunity? I would even be willing to make a free video at no charge to help you add value to your audience and give you another video. What do you think? Right? Stuff like that is like doing outbound on YouTube because you know that those audiences where they're already watching those videos, get your brand on those other channels. Just go to the About section, contact cold email outreach. You actually find a lot of people are very responsive in that way because it's almost like, unless they're a million subscriber YouTube channel, also don't think you got to go after the millions. Go after, like they always say the saying, right? Riches are in the niches. Like go after the YouTube channel that's 10 to 20K subscribers, but it has very like clarity on their YouTube channel. And the way that you can tell on that, you can obviously look at the videos and the titles. Normally the easiest way to do that is just quickly look at the YouTube banner. If you have a good YouTube banner, if you're like a good YouTuber, you're generally putting on your homepage saying, this is what my channel is about, and videos are uploaded on this day and this day, right? So you could literally go look at like 100 YouTube channels in a week, no problem. Go reach out to them, cold email, give them some value add of creating a content or seeing if they even want to, put something on your channel. And now you've just gone into a whole nother audience that's cost you $0 except for your time to make whatever the content is.
Yeah, and the more that I've kind of dove into a lot of different approaches and things that we've kind of been using internally as well, looking for ways to kind of expand and kind of more of a ripple effect. So instead of looking at outbound being specifically of one-to-one transactional type deal, looking to having kind of an overlap of audience. And a lot of, like you mentioned, as far as understanding the market, who kind of fits, a lot of times kind of complementary services. I mean, if you're a Keurig company and you connect with somebody that is selling donut shops and different stuff like that. So, I mean, like, I don't know why I thought about donuts. Maybe I should go get one. But as far as kind of that nurturing relationship, I think it definitely has a little more compounding effects long term.
Yeah, and then I think you hit the nail on the head earlier too about engagement, right? Like people are very engaging, I would say, more than they have been in the past. So it's a part of the nurturing is not just cold emailing all the time, right? It's like liking their stuff, following their stuff, leaving comments on their stuff. Like I know me personally, when somebody leaves a comment on our YouTube channel, the endorphin serotonin release goes up. It's like, oh
Yeah.
man, I just got a comment from this person I've never heard of. Like, wow, like that's good. That means that video helped them and that they enjoyed my content. And so then that's a good feeling as a content creator, because we all know, like, if you create content, I mean, you want to get feedback that it's good content too. You want to just create content to create content.
Yeah. No, I definitely think, and that's talking to a lot of people is kind of going through very kind of nurturing effect, even before doing the first touch point of kind of going through. I know conversation with was really heavy on LinkedIn, but was really chatting about going through connecting with people that are very engaged on LinkedIn, going through the process, liking their stuff, commenting on all their stuff. Your face is popping up multiple times. you're giving value for them. You're sharing that you found value. And then the conversation is an easy piece. You can say, hey, I saw this content that you've been putting out, really great stuff. And then asking a question opposed to going straight into pitching. I think that's the biggest thing.
Right. Yeah. It's like a
the
softer
theme,
approach when you think about it. Like when you
yeah,
send an email, you're waiting for a reply, or you're emailing them when they never really asked for you to email them in the first place, versus when somebody posts something on social media in a psychological way, it's almost like they're asking the world to say, view my content and engage with it if you like it, right?
yeah,
They would hopefully be putting it out on social media if they didn't really want to share it with people. So when that happens, the other interesting thing about what you just pointed out is when you leave a comment, it's publicly seen. So now you've just amplified your reach out or your engagement with just not one person anymore. Literally, if it's publicly available, whatever their entire network might be now might be seeing it. And so also psychologically, when that happens, you feel more of the need to reply to a question in a comment on a public post because everybody sees it, versus an email that's sent one-to-one. Who cares if you reply because nobody sees it?
yeah. And I really think kind of the omni approach of especially using tools like YouTube along with LinkedIn and other kind of social, but also encouraging because we're so enamored and we're so bombarded with so many different things and call to actions. A lot of times we just don't take action at all. So
Right.
using that front end approach to kind of build awareness, and then also like sometimes directly outreaching to somebody is like, hey, like I really liked your stuff. I got so busy. So you taking the time to actually do the outreach, it does start the conversation, but it's a little more natural. But I think, like you mentioned, as far as kind of multiple assets and not looking at it just as one-off transactional in there. So, yeah, but I've really enjoyed. I think there's a lot of really great content and really kind of high-level approach. Really want to make sure we didn't spend too much time on tactics or anything that 2-3 years from now somebody comes back and wants to review over anything from the summit, that they're still getting value and there's not old tactics that aren't working on certain YouTube strategies and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the things that I discussed, they should be valid for the next few years for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, especially when you look at the approach more on behavior and psychology and things of how people, because you think over the years, we really haven't changed that much. Little changes, like you mentioned, as far as attention span. I think we're right next to goldfish these days. But yeah, I think a lot of that really kind of hits the head. So somebody wants to get in contact with you. They want to learn more. How do they get in the world of Mr. Benjamin Kepner?
Yeah, so we've talked about YouTube enough. So definitely go check out our YouTube channel. We post free videos there every week for tips on how to grow your business with social media. It's Global Social Media Marketing is the name of my company, and that's the YouTube channel. So if you just typed it in, you'll find it. If you want to reach out to me directly, I would recommend LinkedIn. I'm pretty good about checking that, like my email at this stage. I actually think I get more LinkedIn messages than I do get emails at this stage. So it's kind of funny how that's evolved. And you can just type in my name. It's Benjamin Kepner. And you can see my contact information in my profile. It actually has my email, my calendar to book a call with me. So if you found any value or you need help with YouTube ads, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, for sure. Really appreciate your time. And I hope everybody got a lot of value from all the content.